Alright, hey guys, and so I'm going to be explaining the first rules of the game, and I'm not going to waste any of your time. So, let's begin, shall we? As in, for the first rule should be everyone who starts out should have a small island. And as you know, I am on the small island as we speak, so I will not be starting until I explain this whole thing. So, the first thing is start off with a small island. That's the first rule, if you want to get an empire together. I will determine which is a small island suitable for you. And this other first rule that I'm going to be explaining is where you will be on the map. So, because this is a large map, it's going to be enough space for everyone to, you know, I can't speak while I'm typing. So it's a large map. Everyone will be placed in a different position. Luckily, because we're on Xbox One, sorry, that there will be enough spacing for wide-wise of where you will be placed. Now, I would have to decide on which corner or which placing it would be instead of a lot of people being right next to each other. What I may do first is like separate some people in like different parts of the map so no one will know where you exactly are. Oh yeah, and the other first rule is right here. This next rule should be no gamer tags. So, as I'm saying, no one will find you, so that will be good. And with that is you need coordination. Now this other coordination, I think some people may be asking that will there be teams? Well, no, there will not be teams at the start yet, but this rule can be changed at any time, depending on the gameplay. So, anyways, these are all the first rules for now. These could be added on and otherwise. But the first thing for you to do is start off with a small island. Obviously, starting off with a small island is suitable for everyone. So let me just move all of that right there. Small islands to big islands. So going to a big island, which is a large island, you would need probably some large forces. So this is where I'm gonna have to say you're probably gonna need a lot of stuff for these large forces. And that I mean getting, sorry, I'm gonna be pausing a lot if not, food. Number one. Food is always number one priority for everything. Food. Bases, obviously. We're gonna add that too. If I can actually write it. You know what? I think I'm just gonna stick with pausing it so I can pull my. And so this will all include food, raw resources, bases, control points, and flags. And so all this will be determined someplace else. I haven't decided yet, but there will be a system for this. I will decide for it later. I have it in my head now, but I'll probably forget. So, let's just keep that in mind. So next thing, besides getting all the small islands for your large forces and stuff, obviously you would need food force. Force, wow, okay. Food first, everything for raw resources, and basically getting all your stuff together. Now, I don't care, I barely care about how you build your bases as long as it's not dirt or underground yet. Underground stuff I will talk about later if you would decide that you want anything underground. So, nothing is to be underground except for caves and your little private mines. No bases are allowed. Not even storage. No storage. Have no storage underground. That is it. Besides that, let's move on to the next topic. And as in typing all this took a lot of time, by the way. This will be a kind of system that I have. So iron, I'm gonna explain it to you, or if you want to look on the screen, that's fine too. The iron slash resources, and by the way, this can be anything, any raw resources. It doesn't matter. I will make that system up another time, but for now, let's just go with it. So a certain amount of production points slash currency, which you will be using to buy a base and to obviously make it. If you want me to make the base, I can do that as well because I've made copies of bases multiple times, even the same copy over and over. But there's some things that I can't rebuild. So, however, if a player builds a regular home, it will not represent a control area, only a civilian placing. And I spelled civilian wrong. Maybe, I'm not sure. Yeah, I need another L in there. Don't worry about that. But anyways, this. Oh gosh, I missed an R. Anyways, this will represent a control area. Well, not a control area, but almost a neutral area for your placing of civilians. Basically, villagers need this anyway if you want any of them to live in a house. And obviously, you're gonna need 2 food every day just so you can have a villager by your side. And that, I mean, you will need to grow some food. And that's why I'm gonna go to the next topic right here. You would need food to have all the civilian placing just so they can survive. You all know how the village works. If you don't, please garden some food and place it back all the time. So, the villagers will need. I know there's some misspelling because some of my keys won't work. So, villagers will require food, and obviously, you're gonna need food if you want them in the army, obviously. And there will be different sets of armies. That's why I didn't add different sets of armies. Like it could be like a skeleton with a zombie battle versus an iron golem kind of battle, but mostly I would recommend players join in that battle. But I want to explain something for this player system for a war tactic. You know what? I could explain that another time. I have that in my head. So yeah. So for bases, these bases will be control points. And so for control points, this is self-explanatory right here. That will be across a large scale map, which I have way over there. Way over there. And because it's a large scale, no one will be allowed to build too many bases next to each other. What I mean by that is calling oh, I have a base right here and I have a base right here. No, that will not how it work. That's not how it will work. Sheesh. And so, if a base is too close to each other, that will just be the base radius area, as in being one base. So no one can have two main bases if it's right next to each other. That's basically what it's saying. And the flag will represent this area. I will determine if a base is far enough from another base to call it another base. Because if a base is right next to another base, I cannot call it a base. I'll just call it a base radius area. And you would probably need to build in that space just so it wouldn't get raided too much. So, anyways, I can explain the next system here. And so, with this next system, I'm going to explain is the war tactics. And here's the battle tactics. And I know I spelled tactics wrong, maybe. Here is the large scale map of what we'll be doing right there. And here's the tactics. So I'm going to read off here that all the players are determined to have a life, because I know some people have PvP'd and PvE'd, which is pretty much against players or mobs in general. If you're very good at PvP, your lives will be shortened. Trust and believe, because I know you'd be too good in the battlefield, and once you killed most of everything out, you're just rolling over. So I probably would have to limit the balancing on that. So if it's team play is very different. It will be like a lot of people. If there was like an army of players, of course it's gonna be limited. But if there's like two players and they combine their armies, it's gonna be like a few player lives and like a whole scarcity of mobs on their way if they even decide to bring their army. So besides that, mobs are the easiest thing to kill. Once on by yourself, these examples of mobs would be an army of blazes with skeletons versus an army with skeletons versus an army of iron golems and snow golems, plus another example with skeletons and zombies versus an army of players versus iron golems. That would be an example of a different type of army of how it worked. Of course, I can add more. I could probably figure out some other examples with this, but right now these are the two examples that would probably work in the battle scale. So for anything else, for a team play of having mobs, it will be a massive battle, but that really depends on the battlefield. It literally depends on the battlefield. And because if like multiple mobs are like spawned on the world, I'm probably gonna have to limit some of the unfair battle tactic advantage. So there's that too. Traps are optional, but this would lead to the battle in real life, and you see the examples right there. And so, however, I know this is taking a lot of time. However, if anyone is to do a live battle, they will have to move with the entire army. And believe me, I imagine that, and it will take a long time. And even though that is a good advantage, which is right here, the enemy will not be warned. But don't take that lightly. You will have to move with that army just so you can capture a point or a base or destroy a base, whatever you want to do. It gives you an advantage if you do a real life battle, but it also gives you a disadvantage because you would have to move with your army. And of course, moving with your army is going to be like a hassle. And I may determine a defense unit type of system, like the examples down here. If it's a defense, like saying if it's a defense, an army of blazes versus an army of snow golems would be like something I would account for defense. The blazes would be a defense, and then the snow golems would be an offense. It's like that kind of thing. And for traps, if traps are placed, that's also another thing. It will automatically be turned into a live battle because traps are placed. And because of that, some armies will uniquely be lost in battle. And I know I'm going to add more to this whole rule if you guys suggest anything for that. But if any traps are placed, it's over. if but remember, everyone must scout before they go and even try to attack. If it's a live battle, for anything, you must scout first. But just remember, anyone has to scout. And I know you see it right there. But I'm going to explain this in a way that you would understand. Or if you already understand, I don't really need to explain. So basically, even if you see a base, just report it. Go back to your base and report it. And so, but everyone must remember that they gotta scout the land first before they even attack or try to do anything with that land seen. They gotta report to their host. That's mandatory. And so, after that, don't give away your plans because everyone will be in party. And I think it will be a great idea if you would just send it in message instead of, you know, just shouting it out, because if you shout it out in the party, I think your attack plans will go to a rot because the enemy will obviously know that you're attacking because you saw. So anyways, that will do it for this whole guide right here. And there will be more stuff added to this, so I guess I'll see you guys later.